These prices are crazy, this set is huge and crazy, and these discounts were crazy. Welcome back to BrickTalk, let's get into it. We have a full box reveal of the $1,000 UCS Death Star, 9,000 pieces and around 38 minifigures. This model's a lot flatter than people were anticipating. There's a lot going on here. Kevin, what do you think?
DG, this is going to be a hard one to talk about because everything and everybody I've heard on it is very, very negative, and I'm in the same boat. I mean, I guess there are some cool, recognizable scenes in here that are pretty neat. 38, 39 minifigures, but the best I could find online is the dimensions are about 2.5 feet each direction, and it looks like it's about 10 inches deep, but that's probably at the bottom in the shuttle bay where it rounds out a little bit. I don't see $1,000 worth of Lego. I don't see close to $1,000 worth of Lego. So not only is the price too high, which everybody's already talked about, but the set is uninspiring. This is one big diorama. I love dioramas. This is not a diorama for me. There's so much more Lego could have done here.
It's hard to tell without more detailed pictures, but these look like pretty good renditions of all the iconic Death Star scenes you need. You have the super laser here, the fire control room, your gunners sitting at the desk. You have Han and Chewie running through some hallways there, a different Han Solo running the other way. Of course, you have the trash compactor down here, which is just a recycled Walmart trash compactor, and the same recycled diorama thing going on with the Emperor's throne room. Not loving that. You have Luke and Leia swinging across the shaft here, and sneaky Ben Kenobi behind the reactor. And then down in the hangar bay, you have a chunky Imperial shuttle, which reminds me a lot of this chunky V-19 Torrent that Lego just released. I'd be willing to bet that the shuttle in this Death Star set uses more parts than this original Imperial shuttle from 24 years ago, back in 2001. This was larger, stuttier, and had only 238 parts in it. It's probably double the size of this medium scale shuttle, and I really think this sums up Lego Star Wars in 2025. We're getting shrinkflation in the set size while cramming more pieces in so they could say, oh, look at the price per piece, it's not that bad. With bigger and bigger UCS sets the last few years, I'm not surprised Lego is releasing a $1,000 set, but for all but the richest of Lego Star Wars fans, this is just out of reach because of the price.
DG, I am shocked to hear what you're saying, man. That's crazy. I couldn't disagree more. In a sense, I'm thankful this is what Lego released for a $1,000 set, because there is no chance in the world that I will be spending $1,000 that I was worried I might want to spend, because a $1,000 UCS should be special. And there's nothing special about this set. It just feels like a bunch of sets that either already exist or could exist, just kind of placed like a jigsaw puzzle into a larger set. So there's nothing that's unique about this. And looking at the back of this Yavin 4 Rebel Base set, yes, this is a little more chopped up, a little bit more of a play set, but these scenes here in the back of the building are pretty similar to what Lego created in this new $1,000 Death Star. This honestly looks more like a play set than a UCS set to me, and I do not want that in a UCS set.
You know what the good people of Reddit were saying? People were saying they hate YouTube background / podcast sets, and that's exactly what this is. It's busy, it's colorful, and it's meant to sit on the shelf behind you on camera. For that reason alone, I gotta get one.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. I thought you were making my point there for me for a second, because the other thing that I don't like about this set is if I'm displaying it and somebody comes over, if they are not like a Star Wars super fan, more often than not, they're going to say, what is that? And I'm going to have to explain to them. But if I have one of these UCS Venator class cruisers on display and somebody comes over, they may not know the exact ship, but they're going to see that and say, that is an awesome Star Wars ship. And then they're going to look closer and say, holy crap, that is made out of Lego. How awesome is that? And that's what a lot of the UCS ships have been very successful at.
Yeah, you're right that the UCS fans usually prefer the highly detailed exterior views of iconic spacecraft to these weird hybrid play sets, but if we look at each of the last two UCS Death Stars from 2008, from 2016, they weren't UCS sets in the typical way. They were more like Master Builder series sets, or like UCS Hoth, the Cantina from a couple years ago, Cloud City. I think this Death Star will go perfectly with those other three sets, the Cantina, Bespin Cloud City, and UCS Hoth. Now with 38 minifigures or so in this Death Star, you get those 4 sets alone and you're pretty much covered for most iconic original trilogy scenes. I see what you're saying with the Yavin comparison, but let's just use our imagination. Let's remove all the minifigures from this set. What we're left with on Yavin is a nice looking facade, but beyond that, it's just a thin facade of a set with not much going on. As awesome as the Cantina is, I think it has the same problem. If you remove these minifigures, the structure you're left with doesn't really dazzle you. Let's go back to the Death Star. If we hypothetically remove all 38 figures, this set does lose a lot of its appeal, but the minifigures in or interact with the space here in a way that's so much better than either of the last two sets. You have this high-ceilinged reactor room for Luke and Leia to swing across. There's action all over the place. The throne room with its chair obviously needs a minifigure to sit there and command it. I don't mean to glaze this set too much, but I do think it is a little special. This is a tax write-off if I've ever seen one. And as I measure my bookshelf back there, I think I might just have to get one.
Dude, I figured you'd be the last person to drink the Lego Kool-Aid. I cannot believe what you're saying, my man. What percentage presence do you think this cantina has compared to the new Death Star? So assume the new Death Star is 100% presence. What presence do you think this one has?
Kevin, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this, but I notice you have the cantina behind you and there's not a whole lot of shelf presence going on.
But you're only seeing part of it, so let's keep going. All right, now you're seeing all of it.
I'm liking the moisture evaporator, and the figures out front look amazing, but that's what I'm saying. Subtract the figures. That is a short, squat set. What is it, 5 inches high? It fits into a Tatooine Mos Eisley city pretty well, but as far as shelf presence from across the room, no comparison.
So what I love about this set is that it opens up, and when you open it up, the detail is amazing. And we're only looking at about 60% of the total cantina set here, but look at the detail on that bar, and then all the little side booths. They're small, but they look good. Now, of course, the minifigures, like you said, are a huge part of this, but awesome detail, awesome fun with this set. This one was only $400, and that felt a little overpriced, but it was $400. What percent presence do you think this one is compared to the Death Star?
I'm not really following. When it's opened up like this with those pearl, silver, and gold bar pieces, maybe it gains 1 point of presence compared to the closed up form. The whole point of the cantina is it's not flamboyant on the exterior. The real excitement is the seedy interiors with the sketchy booths and exotic alien creatures.
So my answer is that it's 80% of the Death Star, which means
no
realized price per piece, blah, blah, blah. I would want to pay, $500 to $600 for that new Death Star and no more. There's tons of little pieces in there just to make the structure.
Okay, I agree that I would have preferred a $600 or $700 Death Star, but with 9,000 pieces involved in this, how are you going to shrink the piece count?
I don't know, but a bunch of these pieces are just gray shell pieces that don't look that big, and some greeveling, and
I must agree,
structure.
What is the point of all these small tiles? Why not put a 6x6 tile like we get on the Venator for each of these, and you save 15 or 20 parts a piece?
Like when you break it down and actually look at the usable space in here after you remove the minifigures, like you said, there isn't much. I mean, look how thick the floors are, and they need all that for structural, and I get it. But like from floor to floor, there is so much volumetric space in here that is just used up by structure and thickness. I mean, this is a thick set all around, right? Like every element is thick, except when you get into the little diorama room where in most cases you're fitting 4 or 5 minifigures, no more. Now this one, obviously you can fit a lot more, but a lot of these rooms are pretty small. The gray panels, they look kind of curved down the middle. It's not straight, it kind of winds, but it almost looks like, honestly, I think that's an eyesore right down the middle there. And that's a lot of, thick, underutilized space.
Hard disagree. I think from a distance, the way they've divided up the space with lines and different levels, it's very pleasing to the eye. Looks really good, in my opinion.
All right, so I just took a closer look at the cantina behind me. I didn't have a ruler, but I'm close. The dimensions of this set are almost 2 feet by 2 feet, just under 2 feet by 2 feet. And I realize it's not 10 inches thick, but most of the Death Star is also not 10 inches thick. So I think that this set is probably only an inch or two thinner than most of the Death Star, and it's probably only 4 to 8 inches shorter on both sides. This set is not much smaller than the Death Star that we're looking at and has almost the same number of minifigures.
Kevin, this is one of the craziest takes I've ever heard from you. You're saying if you flip the cantina 90 degrees up on its side, it's comparable. First of all, that's nonsensical. Second of all,
space.
Second
volume
of all,
doesn't care if it's flat or horizontal. Volume
Everyone knows. No, that's not true.
Presents.
Everyone knows in Lego you pay a premium for height, and all the time they give us height, and then they don't fill in the details or the sides, and we say, oh, Lego went for height, and they sacrificed all the other integrity of the model to get there.
All right, so now my turn.
No, not your turn. My turn,
Okay,
buddy.
fine.
This is like one of the first Lego Star Wars sets that is super high and wide. Design-wise, they decided to make it a cross-section, but it's like the Z-axis here, this platform jutting out, it looks good. It's complete. This platform on top in the throne room with the railing that Palpatine's going to go over, it looks complete in 3 dimensions. Just to reiterate, you pay a premium for the height because what other Star Wars set is 2.5 feet high? I'll wait.
Well, thank God they've got a couple of complete platforms in $1,000 set. Now I'm sold, man.
Mic drop.
Sold. Mic drop on 2.5 feet height. Come on. I mean, the Yavin Rebel base is like 1.5 feet or so high.
Looks like 12 inches high. Look at the backside. Look how thin it is. Look how incomplete.
We'll get the dimensions. I think it's higher than 12. It's right there. It's 19 inches high.
No, it's 19 inches wide with the wings fully opened because it's like
fine. All right, 12 inches high.
Set.
All right,
back to the actual good set.
Well, now I got to think, because there's got to be a Star Wars set out there that's pushing 2 feet high, right? There's got to be one.
There's not. They're always really long, like your UCS Superstar Destroyer, your Venator, your Star. Yeah, they're long. Okay, AT-AT. There you go.
Yeah, AT-AT, but that one's $850. All right, I'm asking ChatGPT. I said it wrong. All right, ChatGPT says the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer is 17 inches tall. ChatGPT says that 75159 Death Star is 16 inches tall, and Darth Vader's castle is 16 inches tall.
Okay, this is a perfect counterexample. $500 MSRP, and while this was available from 2016 to 2020, it looks way older because it's basically a slight modification of this set from way back in 2008. So it's about time we get a UCS Death Star with a modern design. As I said, I'm not so wild about the 9,000 parts and mostly smaller parts, but compared to some other LEGO Star Wars 2025 releases that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, I don't think this is bad at all.
So DG, you say that height is valuable and we pay for height. This Ninjago City Gardens, $350, 5,685 pieces. One heck of a price per piece. This thing is 28 inches tall, I think slightly taller than the Death Star. Now I know it's not as filled out. How does the presence of this set compare to the new Death Star?
I love Ninjago City Gardens. I think aesthetically it's beautiful, it's colorful, and it's eye-catching from across the room. Way more than the Cantina. However, this set has one of the best price per pieces of any modern LEGO set. It doesn't have Disney Star Wars tax attached.
I am fine with $1,000 UCS Death Star, but huge missed opportunity in my opinion. I don't need a full sphere, but it's not a flat scene environment. It's a sphere environment. The intricacies of having that 3-dimensionality to it. This set needed at minimum to be a half sphere. And then LEGO could have done some different things. They either could have done clear panels in certain areas so that you can see into the scenes, or they could have had some panels that are covered up that could have easily been removed so that you can see in, or they could have taken some creative ideas from this shadow box, or heck, the whole half sphere could swing open. But just a plain flat slice when the whole beauty of the Death Star is the spherical 3-dimensionality of it, that's what's missing. It is such a missed opportunity. That's what I want to see with the UCS set. That's what I want my buddies to come over and see and be like, cool, look at that Death Star, not a slice of pizza, not a Rumba vacuum cleaner propped up on the shelf with a bunch of tiny scenes crammed in. The more I talk about this, DG, I think you're nuts, and I think this is terrible.
Well, first of all, don't talk about my nuts. Second of all, it's pronounced Roomba. And third of all, I do see what you're saying. I think this is okay, but I do agree with you. It could be better. One way it could be better is if this front view stays exactly the same, but to the left of that super laser on the backside, we get half of a basketball. So that we can put the set on a turntable and rotate it. Depending on our preference, we can look at the exterior, and then it would be such a cool reveal to turn it around and get the cross section so that you get, at least from one view angle, the best of both worlds. So it took us 20 minutes, but I think we finally came to an agreement on what we would have liked to see for the $1,000 Death Star.
I hate to say this, but my one word for this set, lazy. Lego didn't want to deal with the complexities of the three-dimensionality of it. Having everything basically on right angles except the shell is so much easier. All these tiny little play scale, minifigure scale, diorama type spaces. Lego designs this kind of stuff in their sleep. The vast majority of their sets, Star Wars or other themes, are play scale size spaces for minifigures. The fact that this is a UCS set and the most expensive set in the history of Lego, right? Yeah, it's lazy. Sorry, it's lazy.
Compared to how downright disrespectful Lego is being with their other sets this year, the Death Star I don't think is very overpriced. Maybe it's not what we wanted, but I do think this is a quality product. I do think it's eye-catching, and I may be buying one just to make the Redditors mad.
And it'll be in this background of every single one of your videos. I know this hasn't even come out yet. I'm sure it'll have a very long shelf life. What's your early read on this being a good investment or a bad investment?
I'm not going to fall into that trap, Kevin, because increasingly what we're seeing with Lego is super inflated MSRPs and deeper, more frequently available discounts. The big investment problem with a $1,000 base price is where is the room to grow? That's such a limited market, over $1,000. We had this concern with the UCS AT-AT, $850 price. And while that AT-AT has had some pretty good price growth, even up to $1,500 the day after Christmas on Amazon, today it sells for around $1,150, $300 over its base price. Your potential market of customers at over $1,000 is just so much smaller. Of course, if you get a great discount right before the set retires, then it could be a good investment. But with a huge purchase price with 38 minifigures included, it's going to be very risky to sell this on Amazon or Walmart. With a price this large, just a handful of unscrupulous people can really put a dent in your profits. We're going to have to wait for the official reveal and detailed minifigure pictures to see how these figures compare to those in the cantina. But some of these grainy early images don't inspire a lot of hope. The one standout I do have to shout out is the hot tub stormtrooper. We have needed this for about 20 years, and I'm so thankful we're finally getting it. So my prediction is that much like the cantina, the performance of this as an investment is going to depend on the minifigures.
I agree. My early guess is that this is actually a pretty good investment with 38, 39 minifigures. I bet we'll have a minifigure value in the $350 to $400 range, not quite 50% of the retail price. I'm sure a good number of them are exclusive, but the reason I think it'll be a good investment is because a set like this, a 50% ROI is awesome because all the work to buy it and then resell it, but then to get a $500 return is great, right? And so it's just a lot less work. So as the set gets larger, my target return on investment goes down because of, again, the time savings. Since I would not want to ship this ever, I would want to sell it locally. I would probably only get 2 or 3 at most. Realistically, we'll be able to pick it up with some random GWP with double insider points, maybe get it for the equivalent of $870 before taxes. Of course, taxes are going to be a huge chunk, so now we're looking at $950. I think it does go to $1,500 after 3 years. And so again, 1 unit, get a $500 return on investment. I'm liking it, but I would not be going deep on this.
Yeah, this is kind of uncharted waters because that AT-AT that went from $850 up to $1,500 is more of the traditional UCS set, fully enclosed, highly detailed vehicle, whereas this new Death Star is kind of a mix between that and the old Death Stars, which were completely open, rotatable, play sets on all sides, basically. If we look at the Amazon price history on our 2016 Death Star, first couple years it was exclusive from Lego, but it came to Amazon in 2017, sold for its retail price the entire time, no discounts. During its shelf life, when it was in and out of stock, this blue line tells us that it sold over its MSRP, almost completely over its MSRP, and then once it retired right here, you immediately jumped up to $800. And if we move over 1 year to the end of 2021, over $1,300. You could have got it a year prior for $500. So who knows? Maybe there's something to Death Stars, and maybe this could turn out to be the best Lego investment ever. But let's move from one crazy Star Wars set to 2 others. For those who haven't seen it already, this is an abomination. The new 75413 Republic Juggernaut launched August 1st, 813 parts and 8 minifigures for $160 US. Not only is this set insultingly expensive, but it's really badly designed with poor structural integrity. I mean, we are not nitpicking here. This set has serious problems. It does not meet Lego's quality control. 8 minifigs, but really 3 of them are regular battle droids. So 5 minifigures, the majority of which have problems. New Kiari Mundi looks pretty good here. Commander Bakara also looks alright, but where's the waist cape? These printed waist capes look so lazy with no print on the side. After 20 years, we've finally gotten dark red Galactic Marines. They have the same problem, and I've heard lots of reports of people having misprinted eyes. So imagine spending $160 on this turbo tank for 3 of these figures just to find 1 or even 2 of them misprinted. Absolutely insulting. This set should have been pulled from pre-production. Instead, it's made it out into the world. LEGO needs to do the right thing and issue additional parts for this.
If they're issuing additional parts, it better come with a little bit of glue based on what I'm seeing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're going to need to put in extra instruction pages telling you how to unbuild the faulty design and rebuild the stronger design. And here's the crazy thing. This is not even that hard of a design problem. LEGO solved this 10 years ago with the second ever turbo tank. Granted, this one had a carry handle on the top, but even without it, look at this construction. It's not that hard. You take Technic beams, you put these vertical lift arms on there, and it's locked. It's super solid. It's not going anywhere. This set is a slap in the face to LEGO Star Wars fans. It's preposterously overpriced. Do not buy. Wait for at least 40% off, which would be $96. Still expensive for this tiny little thing. You guys know the Clone Turbo Tank is one of my favorite vehicles in all of LEGO Star Wars. This set is insultingly bad. I'm personally offended, and I will not be buying this for personal build anytime soon.
All right, so you're not buying this set, just to make sure that I'm clear. DG, that was quite the rant, and I do want to remind you, you don't have to buy this set. Like, it's not brave to declare that you're not buying the set. Nobody is forcing you to buy the set. LEGO does release hundreds of sets a year. It's okay if they flub one every now and then, and we all just say, you know what? We're not buying it. I can go rebuild the old one. I can go find an old one, yes, at a premium, or I can just make my own turbo tank, or I can wait, or I can buy the new one and mod it myself. There's a lot of things we can do here.
That last one doesn't work because we're not buying the new one. Under no circumstances are we buying the new one. We're buying the new one at, as I said, no higher than 40% off. And we're still sending an angry letter to LEGO.
So I don't want you to lose your hair over this, DG. I mean, it's okay, man. We're gonna be okay. Of course, I agree with you, DG. However, it does look kind of cool. I get that it's smaller, scaled way down, but I kind of like how prominent the wheels are. In terms of playability, other than the fact that it's going to fall apart, that's pretty good. But based on everything you said, and of course the price, this thing is just hell on wheels.
The wheels are the only good part about this.
I don't have to buy it, and I'm gonna be okay.
I think part of the reason I'm so up in arms is I really wanted to buy this. I was so excited to get a new turbo tank for the first time in, I don't know, 8 years. My favorite vehicle. Here's another upsetting thing. Every single part of this new turbo tank, aside from the wheels, is worse than every past version. The rear cab here fits 1 seat instead of 2. This compartment here houses nothing, whereas on past models it was storage or cool engine detail. The main cargo bay does seat 5, but it's way too short. You're going to be cramming your fingers in there. The way the clones mount the front turret looks worse than before. The reconnaissance tower pulls out. What a poor design. And just aesthetically, what am I looking at? That's horrible. The front turret angles up and down. It doesn't even spin. What is that? The only improvement on this set are the wheels, and even that is just a matter of taste.
I actually think the overall design and the body is a little bit cleaner, including the interior, but that's what led to it not being structurally sound. You know, the previous interiors had more of the Technic pieces and lift arms to hold it all together. This one, you don't see as much of that, so it's not as ugly. I get what LEGO's trying to do here. I mean, it looks pretty decent. Again, the price is nuts. Who knows? I would never even be in that ballpark, close to that for this. And then the other thing too is I don't mind LEGO going to smaller Star Wars ships. You know, we've gotten the smaller TIE Fighter, Slave One, the smaller X-Wing, right? Like with the newer pieces, the better design. I know they use computers and AI to help design a lot of this stuff. They can get a lot more details at a smaller size. I like that. It takes up less space. What I don't like is that sets have got smaller and prices have gone up. That's a problem. But if the pricing was correct for the smaller sets, I'd be happy. I do realize that inflation accounts for some of that, but still, Star Wars prices are outpacing inflation a fair amount right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't mind the downsizing necessarily, but as the price goes up and the size shrinks and the quality declines, like with these misprinted Galactic Marine helmets, it's just insulting, and it's obvious what LEGO is doing, saying, we've captured the market, we know you suckers are going to buy it. It's just insulting. So this is my favorite vehicle, very problematically rendered, and unfortunately I'm going to have to pass it up or pick it up secondhand for half price or something like that. I'm so mad. So I get that it's a 9+ playset, but it's just ridiculous. Look, they have the lift lift arm construction there that gives it strength on the back. They should have just copied that for the front so that the front doesn't completely fall off. Massive miss. I seriously think this is such a bad product. It should be pulled.
That's funny, DG. In the green room, you were telling me that your favorite vehicle is the Toyota Prius.
Well, until we get a Speed Champions Prius, I'm going to continue being mad at this turbo tank.
Man, oh man, poor guy. You're going to lose sleep over this. You're hurt. You are personally wounded.
I am personally offended and I'm ready to throw hands.
All right, next set.
This set is so bad that it actually makes the next set, the Battle of Felucia Separatist MTT, look a lot better. This MTT is the same price, 976 parts for 12 minifigs.
But only 2 actual minifigs, which are pretty cool minifigures. But yeah, the minifigures are basically no value in this set. But I love the vehicle in this one.
Yeah, the vehicle is way better on this one. My only problems with it are design-wise. Structurally, this is solid. However, just 6 droids for an MTT. When back in the glory days, we had this Chef's Kiss set, the 2007 MTT, holding 16 droids in the rack. The feature is really smooth, and the hatch closes itself when you retract the rack back inside the carrier, but just 6 droids in the rack is not enough. And the worst part is just by adding 2 extra pieces, these 2x2 circles in light gray, you can fit 8 droids in the rack. You just slide it over, cram them together, and you go from 6 droids to 8. So by adding 2 extra parts, LEGO could have made this hold 8 droids instead of 6. Same word as before, this is lazy.
Stealing my word. Yeah, it's lazy, but it looks pretty good, and the price is horrendous. And even at 50%, maybe 50% off. A lot of Star Wars sets that will be retiring in 26, 27 that we're not going to be paying much attention to. You know, these are not good ones to go deep on unless the sell is out of this world, which is unlikely.
I'm going to make a prediction now. In 27 or 28, we're going to see one of these 2, Turbo Tank or MTT, on a 40% Prime Day sale from Amazon or something, or 50%, because LEGO can ask whatever they want, like we say, and we don't have to buy anything. But the retailers have to move these sets, especially the publicly traded Amazon, Walmart, Target. They need to move these sets at any price. And I'd be curious to know if those retailers have a word with LEGO and say, hey, we want to keep carrying your products, but maybe consider being a little more reasonable.
I am curious what LEGO's forecasting models say on these last 2 sets in terms of how many they should be producing, right? Like, if they get that wrong, there is going to be so much supply on the primary market that it is going to be a fire sale.
Well, and here's the thing. Both these sets are fan favorites. They're super desirable. Fans want these, but between the bad designs and the insane prices, it's kind of a stalemate. Fans are waiting for LEGO to discount, and LEGO is waiting for fans to spend way too much money on the vehicles that they love. Just insulting. So 12 minifigs in the MTT, only 2 are non-droids, and it's really early in the shelf life, but so far, the value of those 2 figures, $30 for Ayla Secura and $49 for Commander Blythe. $80 makes up half the retail value. Someday, when it is time for the set to retire, I'm sure these figures will be some to watch. All right, let's move on to some less upsetting August releases. Finally, a new UCS ATST, 18 years after we got the first one. Fun fact, that UCS ATST was my first UCS set, and 10-year-old me didn't really understand that it was not meant to be with the play set, so I thought it was really cool. I used it as a play set, and I just had this final boss UCS ATST stomping everything. This new iteration is a little bit smaller, $200 for 1,500 parts, pretty much in line with standard UCS price per part.
Yeah, kind of cool to get another one of these. It's been a while, but this I think is actually my least favorite Star Wars vehicle. I get kind of the coolness factor in some aspects. I've liked some of the scenes with the ATSTs, but I would never want to build one of these. I would never want to display one of these. I don't think they represent well compared to what you see on the screen with them. On the screen, they are kind of cool, have some personality. These don't really have personality to me, so no interest. I don't think it'll be a horrible investment. I don't think it'll be a great investment. You know, when it's on sale or able to get an equivalent of 25% off, I bet there's a few bucks there, but on a personal note, not something I'll be getting or building.
One thing I do like, though, is the return of the $200 price point. We saw Luke's land speeder and the X-Wing Starfighter get bumped up to $240. I'm very happy to see this at $200. At $240, it would just be way too much.
Yeah.
You know, if we're going to have huge $1,000 Death Stars and also $400 to $500 Starships, give us some entry-level UCS sets. I really like this.
Yep, I get that.
Next, we have buildable Wicket the Ewok to accompany this ATST on your Endor shelf. What do you think about the printed eyes? Aren't those miles better than Nightmare Chewbacca?
Yes, I actually really like this set. Freaking adorable, man. I mean, what a great build. However, it's not Chewbacca, it's not C-3PO, it's not R2-D2. So, you know, maybe a little something, but like I like the Chewbacca. I've got two. I don't know if I'm actually going to build one, but they've done decent for the $100 that I equivalent picked them up for. I've been saying all along on the Chewbaccas that we will get a shot at them for around 100, and we did, and they're good investments at 100. So I might end up selling both of those, but someday I could see me wanting to have Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2. I don't think I'd want to add Wicket to my collection, even though he is pretty freaking adorable. Okay investment, nothing special.
Unfortunately, the most fringe buildable character so far is the best designed. These pieces here for the fur look way better than the 1x2 rounded slopes on Chewbacca. I mean, the construction looks great. The face is non-creepy. It's pretty much perfect. I like...
The face is awesome.
Yeah, they did the whole model for just over 1,000 parts. 130 is a little steep, but I'm sure it won't be difficult to find this at 110 or even 100. Pretty cool set. Your 327th Star Corps Clone Trooper Battle Pack, $45 US, which is way too much. Again, LEGO knows what they have, and they're holding us hostage. The AT-RT looks good. The figures look really nice. I'm not sure we needed this complete redesign of the Spider Droid. I personally like the one in the ATTE a little bit better, but I've come around a little bit on this. It does look menacing and intimidating. 3 Super Battle Droids, 4 Clone Troopers, and your Yellow Walker. 45 is way too much to ask for a battle pack, but I'm sure we'll be able to get this for 35 or 30.
Basically 4 minifigures for $45. Like we talked about, too expensive. The minifigures are decent. I like the plastic pauldrons on there. I know cloth is probably a little more desirable, but I don't mind the plastic ones. But that Walker, though, with that stud shooter, or I guess it's a tile shooter right out front, I mean, that thing looks like it has a triple chin on him, and that is weird.
Which sucks because the Walker looks really good except for the blaster, right?
Yeah, and I could see wanting to army build if that Walker was just a little better. Like, how awesome would it be to have 10 of those and 100 of these troopers?
Well, I think LEGO has woken up to the fact that clone battle packs are super popular, and what LEGO is telling us with their pricing is they don't want to give us 4 troopers for even $20.
Yeah.
They're all the way up to 45, and then they're throwing in some peanuts here to try to make us feel better about it. Let's be patient. I'm going to wait for $30, and I will definitely pick up a few of these. As an investment, who knows? We're going to have to wait and see supply and demand.
Don't say who knows. You'll be getting them. You love your Clone Trooper battle packs. You're going to have stacks of these.
Yes, but I'm not going to be pigeonholed by my old beliefs. Clone battle packs used to be regularly priced, decent value. With this new development, I am not sure they'll continue to be such great investments.
True.
The new extra chunky V-19 that we mentioned earlier. You get a clone pilot figure, finally, with the properly shaped helmet, Clone Wars Obi-Wan, and Asajj Ventress. All 3 of these figures are exclusive as of now. That arm printing on Obi-Wan looks really good. $65 US for 567 parts. And at 20% off, this is actually not bad value, so I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I love this one. All the Star Wars ships where the wings fold in and out, like the Bad Batch shuttle, that's right. And then Kylo Ren's shuttle with the wings and claps. And so, yeah, I know this thing is pretty thick. Awesome minifigures. I like that it's a little smaller. The price isn't awful. This one's cool.
Yeah, they made some pretty bold design choices, putting stickers on these front engines and on the wings, but they actually look pretty cool. The old V-19 looked way more military-like and threatening, but for LEGO nowadays, I'm not surprised that they've sanitized that a little bit and made it more child-friendly, which is perfectly okay with me on a 9+ set like this. Next, we got Jango Fett's Starship, the playscale version, $70 US for 700 parts, so roughly 10 cents a piece. 3 minifigures, 2 of which are exclusive, the new Jango and this new Kaminoan figure whose name I can't pronounce. Design-wise, this is pretty close to the Boba Fett Starship from a few years ago, but man, just like the battle pack, stud shooters here on the end completely ruin the design. This set looks really awesome, except for that part.
Funny, this time that doesn't bother me so much. I actually like this one a lot. It should be a $55 or $60 set. I know the price to part ratio is pretty good, but they already basically had the design like you mentioned from the previous one. But after beating up LEGO so much already in this video, I will compliment them. Good job releasing this while the UCS Jango Fett Starship is out, right? That seems cool. That seems like a good play. I think it will benefit LEGO just as much as if they staggered them. And now, if you don't have the space or the funds to get the big one, you can get a play scale one with some pretty cool minifigures.
Exactly. This is consumer friendly. You have a $70 option, or for 4 times the price, you have a giant collector focused $300 one. That's consumer friendly. friendly. I'd be willing to bet if there wasn't a UCS Slave 1 and LEGO released this as the only Jango Fett Starship, guarantee they'd be charging $120 for this exact same set.
Not that high, but they might go into the $85 range. I will say though, for me, I don't even judge the whole consumer friendly or not. You know, there's so many variables to that. LEGO, like I said earlier, they get to release what they want. They're allowed to make mistakes and have missteps. I just like the fact for the enjoyment of LEGO that both of them are out there at the same time. And I think it makes it more fun for all of us who want to buy and build LEGO without it harming LEGO's bottom line.
As consumers, we have the choice to buy or not to buy, but it is irritating as a fan that there are a limited number of slots each year, right? For play sets and for UCS. And so one of them gets horribly mismanaged, or two of them, like the flagship 2 play sets this year, it's pretty demoralizing.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so demoralizing I can go with, because I can see getting your hopes up and, being let down. Yeah, I can feel that. I feel some of that.
It's just like the Death Star. It's wasted opportunity. It's good.
What? I thought you loved the Death Star. Now you're using my words? Wait. Oh, geez, DG.
Then lastly, for this Star Wars wave, we have buildable K2SO. I think this will go well with the other droids. I think the buildable figure K2SO from 7 or 8 years ago actually did decently. $90 here for 800 and some parts. Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think this is a good one. I think there's some good value here. I think it could have a decent return on investment. And although I don't like most of the buildable droids, this one I like. So this might have to go next to C-3PO when I have my display of 4 or 5 brick-built Star Wars action figures.
Let's not forget, buildable BB-8 actually performed pretty well as an investment. The same thing with the Jedi Fallen Order droid, the red one.
And I like how string bean this is and how long the arms are. Like, this one really captured personality here. Head, face, eyes. This is believable to me. And a nice, simple platform. Thank you for that.
And last but not least, this 7+ Force Burner Snowspeeder from Rebuild the Galaxy. This Snowspeeder looks pretty metal. The stap looks all right, but really, I'm looking at these 3 exclusive figures. Pretty cool. $55 US for 349 parts. Pretty steep, but that's pretty much what we're used to for these 4+, 5+, 7+ playsets.
Pass for me. Rebuild the Galaxy, just not known well enough. The 2 main figures in there, I don't even know the names of any of these characters, almost look like city minifigures that are holding lightsabers. So I don't think there's going to be much value in those. I know you all have heard me say that I like a little bit of color in some Star Wars sets, but this one might be too much to go with other similar vehicles. Not a good investment, not something I want.
Well, not at anything near retail price. I do think it's pretty cool. A flame Snowspeeder. I mean, come on. And it was just announced that Rebuild the Galaxy will be returning for a 2nd season. This is pretty unique and pretty cool, but yeah, I don't see it being a good investment. I don't see it having desirability 5 years from now.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be totally forgotten. And people will say, wait, that's Star Wars?
And on the topic of Rebuild the Galaxy, we had some pretty crazy Walmart sales this past week or so. Here we see the Dark Falcon, $180 retail, 55% off online from Walmart. All right, so let's back up. What happened over the last week is Walmart stores all over the US got their shipments of new August LEGO sets, and they needed to clear shelf space. Walmart does 2 main rounds of in-store clearance each year, in January after the holiday rush, and again mid-summer. But when Walmart stores around the country got their shipments of new LEGO releases, the in-store clearance wasn't enough to clear out some space, so instead, new clearance prices made it to the website, and all these online orders that you could order shipped to your house actually got shipped from local Walmart stores, not from centralized fulfillment centers. I ordered a couple of sets, not Dark Falcons, but a different set we'll get to in a minute, and nothing actually came, so I had to cancel my order, and sadly, I missed out.
I wasn't able to get any Dark Falcons either. I never even saw this one. By the time I got on there, this was gone. This went quick, but wow, what a deal.
On the retiring Droideka, we saw a clearance price of $26.50, 58% off its regular retail price. This is an amazing price for this retiring Droideka. If I could have gotten this, I would have loaded up on it.
So I got in on time for this one. I had 3 in my cart. As I was checking out, it told me out of stock, so I reduced it to 2, which were still in stock. So I was able to order 2. I put in some other orders that we're about to look at in a second. All those have been delivered. These 2 Droidekas, unfortunately, have not been delivered, and so I probably will not get them, but I'm not going to cancel it. I'm going to wait and see. I'm fingers crossed, because these are the ones that I was most excited about. This was the best deal that I got.
Yeah, these were great prices. Not quite as good as last year when they had straight up glitch prices. They had the $50 Slave 1 for $12.
Yeah, that was unintentional. These prices are intentional, but they went quick.
Once again, not my screenshot. I did not place an order, but the Back to the Future DeLorean, 65% off. You could get this $200 set for $70. Did you get any of these?
Nope, they went quick too.
You got the Dune Ornithopter, $165 retail, 60% off. This was available for $66. I missed it.
Me too. Awesome set. I would have loved to have grabbed that one.
Currently scheduled to retire in 26. This horrible set is what I ordered for $12. I saw 9 available, so I placed the order for 9.
Yeah, I absolutely hate this set, as you know, so I ordered the 10 that were available in my area, and they got delivered. I couldn't say no, and honestly, even if I have them for personal, just the minifigures, the pieces, right? Like $12 just for what's in the box. You can't go wrong with that. But I imagine I can resell them for $25 in a year.
60% off is, I think, about the best price ever seen for this set. And so my question to you, KDX, is now that these prices have been available for just a brief couple of days, or hours in some cases.
Yeah, just hours.
Are all these sets ruined for investment?
No, because it's such a short period of time. There's still tons of people that never got a shot at it, went too quick. But I will tell you, I am trying to focus on larger sets now since I'm doing more selling on Marketplace, and it's just a pain to sell the smaller ones. eBay's a little easier, but you do have to box them all up. So had I had no personal interest in this set, again, I had no personal interest at $30, but at $12, yeah, that's some pretty cool army building. Even that junky little speeder. Plus, I now have 10 light posts. Think about that, DG. 10 light posts. My city, if I ever build a city, is going to get an upgrade in light posts.
Light Post Battle Pack?
Light Post Battle Pack. Either way, if I had no personal interest in that set, I would have passed just because I wouldn't want to deal with such a small set. So if it doesn't go up in value that much, I'm glad to have them on a personal level. But if they end up turning into $40, now it's worth my effort for each one of those, 12 to 40.
I see this going at least back to its retail price of 30 and probably up to 35 after retirement. I don't know if we'll see 40 just because it's been such a shelf warmer.
Yeah.
But at $12 for 4 figures, that's $3 a figure. Not bad for a clone trooper or for that exclusive Jedi. I need to get at least one copy for my own collection to get that Jedi. A couple more non-Star Wars sets were available. The Creator 3-in-1 $10 tiny space shuttle available for $4.50. That's 55% off. And funny enough, it's currently out of stock at Walmart. Third parties have it for $18.90. So from $4.50 to $18, pretty good sign there.
I saw this one and passed on it because it was just way too small of a set for me. But I knew because it's a space shuttle and kind of NASA related, I knew that $4.50 was an excellent price.
Yeah, really good value for a space set. Unfortunately, not retiring. Then the Marvel War Machine mech was also on 60% off. This one is retiring.
I ordered 6 of these and all 6 of them did deliver for me. So those War Machine mechs I did get for investment. I don't want them personally, but I've had good luck selling mechs locally. Not great luck, but I've had some good luck. And sometimes having one leads to somebody wanting to buy a second or a third. So I thought, for $6, I probably won't be selling many of those as single transactions. They'll be part of a couple of other units. And so I felt like that would be worth the effort because I think those go to $20 or $25 pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
6 to 25 is good.
Definitely. Yeah, I was bummed to miss out. Unfortunately, whether or not you got your sets that you ordered, or even if you could order them, was just entirely based on the specifics of what local Walmarts had in stock. So between the new Death Star, preposterous pricing on the turbo tank, and some deep discounts, it is a wild time to be a LEGO Star Wars fan in 2025. Leave your comments down below. Again, we'll be covering these new releases a lot more as they get closer to retirement.
Fun as always going through all this with you, DG. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. DG, I'm going to go finish building our IKEA shelf so we get some more LEGO storage. I recommend you go see a head doctor based on all those Death Star takes that you had in this episode. And I'll see you next time, my man.
Very kind. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.